The story begins with a caretaker. While she's doing her job, the children's father calls her over. It turns out this caretaker had told a big lie. With this family, her real name was Jennifer, but she had told them something else. The man says, "Tell the truth. Why have you come here? Or I'll complain to the police." On hearing the word police, Jennifer panics and hits the man with a vase lying on the table, snatches her passport from his hand, and runs away. Then the scene cuts, and we are shown a new character, Court, and his dad. They are on a trip together. But even so, Court's dad isn't really present. He's constantly on his phone, which really bothers Court. After this, the scene shifts again, and we are introduced to a new character, Dr. Cooper. At this time, he was intently looking at a painting in the gallery that showed a woman being operated on. Seeing it, he suddenly has a panic attack and becomes sad. After this, we are introduced to many of the film's characters one by one, and then the story returns to Jennifer. To avoid the police, she disguises herself as a homeless person and spends the night by the roadside, waking up in the morning. The sound of the police made her so nervous that she wanted to flee immediately. She saw a bus in front of her. When she started to board the bus, the conductor asked where her ticket was. She didn't have one, so she pretended to look for it. The driver told her it's okay, just get inside my bus. I always keep a seat for one sinner. Yes, it sounded very strange, but the conductor laughed and said, "Oh, I'm just joking," inside the bus. We see that all the people who were introduced earlier are sitting in this very bus. The bus driver sets off. He takes them to a sightseeing spot where there are many windmills. Near one very large windmill, the group is taking pictures. He also wanted to take a picture with his dad, but he was still busy on the phone, so he becomes sad. Everyone wraps up and then returns to the bus. At this moment, Jennifer's medicine falls from her pocket, and Dr. Cooper picks it up, looks over the meds, then looks at Jennifer, and then returns the medicine to her. Their return journey begins, and suddenly Jennifer, she sees that they are at it again, attacking. Startled, the bus stops, and as it halts, she spots something even more terrifying. They were standing right in front of the bus, so she quickly shouts and has the bus stopped. When she went outside to check, there was no one there, so she assumed it was her imagination and got back on the bus. Everything was about to start again, but now something was wrong with the bus. It just wouldn't start. The driver tells all the passengers to relax and goes to check the problem himself. But apparently there seemed to be no issue with the bus, yet it still wouldn't run. He says that now we'll have to stay here and wait for help. But this idea seemed quite ridiculous. Some people needed to get back to the city urgently. They thought, why not go call for help themselves? The bus driver tells them the nearest help point is about an hour's walk away. Go on foot and come back on foot. Hearing this, even those who were ready to go stay put. People say it's nighttime. We can't stay here. Let's go to the nearby windmill we saw on the way. But Dr. Cooper and one of his companions check the map they have and find no windmill marked nearby. Jennifer says fine, I'll go check that place myself. A boy here offers to go with her, and she agrees. On the way, he keeps talking to Jennifer and telling her about himself. She notices something. They found a pair of shoes on the path. They weren't just shoes, they were grand. The boy had always wanted branded shoes, so as soon as he picks them up, a terrifying scene starts playing before him, showing a woman being brutally beaten. After that, an invisible entity appears and suddenly cuts the boy's legs with a strange tool, after which that entity crushes his head as well. Seeing all this, Jennifer gets terrified and starts running back toward the bus. As soon as she reaches the others, she tells them everything she saw, but no one believes her. They even say she must have been hallucinating, because I saw her medicines a while ago. She takes them for hallucinations. Everyone silences Jennifer, and she sits in the bus. But the very next moment, she sees that entity outside and shouts to warn everyone. No one believes Jennifer. The bus keeps moving, and suddenly a bird hits the window. They panic. The bus goes out of control and plunges into the water. Everyone panics before the bus can sink completely into the water, and they all die. Somehow, they manage to get everyone out of the water, and during this dangerous scene, Court gets injured. Seeing this, Court's dad panics, because Court had a condition that made his wounds bleed uncontrollably, and a single injury could prove fatal for him. At this point, everyone decides to head back to the nearby windmill. It was the place Jennifer had earlier suggested going, which they had refused. But now Jennifer warns, please don't go there, there's a killer. But this time, as always, everyone ignores Jennifer. They all start walking, and a boy named Kashi spots his dog here in the forest. How could his dog be here when he hadn't even brought it? Without thinking, he starts chasing it, and suddenly the world around him changes. The place feels familiar to him, and there's a chair there that belonged to his grandmother. He immediately goes to that chair and sees his grandma there. He starts apologizing to her for leaving her. I shouldn't have done that, and I feel very guilty about it. While he is crying, completely lost in himself, we see that the entity, the killer, has come and is standing behind him. Meanwhile, the others also reach inside the mill. The driver tells everyone to stay put here and goes back outside. Dr. Cooper treats Court's wounds and reassures his panicked dad that your son will recover soon. Here, Jennifer notices that the boy who ran after his dog is missing. As soon as they hear about the bus, they panic and start arguing among themselves. COVID, fed up with their fighting, tells them to stop and behave like adults. During this whole argument, the driver finds a century-old document here. It talks about the execution of a miller. A miller is someone who runs these windmills. The miller was sentenced to death for the following reason. The accusation was that she had made a deal with Satan. Court's dad ignores this and tells the driver there's no need to talk about such bizarre things here. Everyone knows that such things don't exist in the world, and even if they do, they never show up nowadays. But someone's story seems quite interesting, so they start reading it. It was written that a miller had sold his soul to the devil, so that the blades of his windmill would keep turning even without wind. One day, a villager noticed that a human tooth had been found in this miller's flour bag. He suspected that maybe something wrong was going on. He secretly kept watch and saw a terrifying scene. The miller was grinding all those bones in his flour mill. He went and told the villagers everything, and they attacked his mill and set it on fire. At that time, the miller was inside and burned along with it. Only after reading the story do they notice that the mill they're standing in right now doesn't look burned. That means this must be a different one. Their argument starts again, and Kurt gets angry and begins to blame Jennifer for all their troubles. In anger, she also storms out of the mill, and the doctor goes after her to support and comfort her. When Dr. Cooper tries to calm her, she turns on him and accuses him. Was it you who told everyone I'm crazy and turned them against me? Cooper asks whether she really doesn't have hallucinations. She says, yes, I do. But even so, the killer was real. She insists on this. I think the killer is none other than my grandfather, who died a long time ago. During this, Cooper suddenly hears something in the forest and goes to investigate. Deep in the woods, he comes upon another woman who, as soon as she approaches Dr. Cooper, makes him freeze up. The doctor insists it was an accident and, defending himself, says, yes, I admit I was shocked during the surgery, but even so I was doing my job properly. He then viciously attacks and badly beats the doctor, killing him. Seeing the doctor's death, everyone becomes extremely frightened. Suddenly, the boy who had apologized stands right behind him, and the two of them head back toward the mill, and we learn that the killer did not kill Kashi. When they came back inside, Jennifer again told them how the killer had earlier managed to kill Dr. Cooper as well. Hearing this, everyone gets scared and thinks the crazy Jennifer is doing all of this and later blaming some killer. because every time the killer appeared, it looked like Jennifer. They also noticed that whenever a killing happened, Jennifer was the one who was alone with that person. People get scared, so they tie Jennifer up. At this time, the boy tries to tell everyone that Jennifer is telling the truth. There is a killer here, and before killing people, the killer forces them to face their sins. Even when they are compelled to confess, he still kills them. I too went through all of that, but I survived because I regretted my sin. At this, the driver speaks up and tells everyone that when the real owner of the mill, the miller, died, the devil made him the gatekeeper of hell, and in this way the mill became the gate to hell. No one believed him, and meanwhile we see that the killer has already reached this very mill. He brings the bodies of all his victims here and hangs them, and the corpses start moving on their own. Here, Jennifer also confronts the terror of her past. In the past, it is shown that she took her little brother away from a children's home and then set fire to that home then, inside which were the cruel people, who constantly pressured and abused the two of them. After setting the fire, Jennifer thought everything was fine, but by then it was too late, because she realized she had killed her brother along with the gang. Due to the cold, her brother had gone back into the van to lie down, and in this way she also murdered an innocent person. He wants to show it to those who were outside the windmill. Kurt asks everyone what they should do, and the driver says we shouldn't go inside that mill. Kurt is still afraid to go, so he warns everyone in advance to stay away from Jennifer. Meanwhile, it's shown that everyone is confused about what to do. Kurt decides they will go with the driver and bring help. During this time, he says they should stay away from her. He thinks she is the killer. After the two of them leave, someone here asks, "Do you believe what Kashi said?" The girl says, "I'm not sure, but I think he's telling the truth because I have committed a sin too. To gain success, I killed my co-model who worked with me. She used to get more praise than me." The boy, Kashi, decides he will talk to the spirit and find out what it wants. So he lights a fire, and in it he gets a brief glimpse. By chance he figures out a way to escape from the spirit. He feels that if he can set this windmill running and destroy this gateway, they will be able to get out of this trouble. Meanwhile, a model suddenly hears strange sounds from outside. Following the sound, as the rain starts, many lanterns are seen hanging in the air without any support. They also see a well there, filled with a lot of water. She sat down and looked into the water, and from within it a very terrifying vision appeared. She saw herself inside it, cutting her own beautiful face, with a knife in agony. Seeing this, she was terrified, and in the very next moment, a hand emerged from that surface, grabbed her mouth, pulled her into the water, and drowned her. Meanwhile, it is shown that the driver and Kurt go into another mill to investigate what is going on here. Seeing the many corpses in that mill, they panic and immediately come back, returning here first to alert the others. He is happy to see his daughter alive, frees Jennifer, and apologizes to her because he had suspected her for no reason. He says that the killer really is here, killing people and hanging up the bodies. But he doesn't believe it's anything otherworldly. He thinks it's just a human, a psycho. Here, someone says, "No. It's another entity whose reflection I have even seen in the eye, and I found a way to end it." He says it's been made into an effigy. We'll burn that to ashes and break free of all this. During all this, Kurt notices that the priest is very restless. He asks him what happened. "Did you also commit some sin? Why do you keep behaving like this all the time?" Hearing this, he too becomes afraid. He says, "Why won't you give me my passport? And why won't you let me contact my mother?" I go to him with a court date. His threats no longer work, and he now spills his secret. He confesses his crime, that he had killed his wife. Hearing this, everyone here stood stunned. Even Rod couldn't believe that he was a killer. He says, "Your mom had made life very difficult. I warned her, and then she started threatening me. In the end, I felt I had no way left except to kill her. That's the whole truth. After hearing this, Court runs away from there crying. Jigar immediately runs after him and sees him sitting under a ledge to one side. Court's dad also went out to search for him. They couldn't find their son for quite a while, and then they found his bag lying on the ground, from which he takes out a photo and looks at it. In the photo of his son with her, it was clearly visible that his son was deeply attached to her, shattered by her death. He was lost in his thoughts when suddenly Miller appeared, who instantly turned a rope into a noose around his neck, strangled him to death, and in the end, in a frenzy, even severed his head from his body. Here we are shown that everyone else was trying to quickly find fuel so that Miller could be burned. But when they don't find any oil, Kashi picks up a pipe and a can and decides to siphon petrol from the bus. Before he could leave, the driver came from behind and suddenly stabbed him in the lower back with a knife, killing him. And from here, a very terrifying secret about the driver is revealed. It turns out that he was actually Miller's assistant, his partner. He was the one who would find sinners in the city and bring them here. Then he would trap them here so they couldn't escape, and Miller would kill them one by one. Here, the driver, now pretending to be panicked, returns to the others and lies to them. He says Kashi has run away and left him alone, and tells everyone that they should still look for petrol so they can burn Miller. Now only 3 people were left, Jennifer and Court and the driver. The 3 of them head toward the bus. Jennifer climbs onto the bus and fills petrol into her bottle, and after taking the petrol they quickly return to Miller, just before they could set it on fire. The driver tells Jennifer that even after burning this mill, it won't be a solution, because forgiveness for sins isn't obtained so easily. Ignoring the driver's words, she pours petrol everywhere, and just as she turns around to set it on fire, she sees Miller standing behind her. Jenny shouts loudly for help, calling the driver, but the driver stood silently, enjoying the whole scene. While she was trying to save herself, at that moment she sees a vision. Her dad's ghost is laughing at her. She gets so angry that she picks up a stick lying nearby and starts hitting hard. But then she suddenly comes to her senses. She realizes that what she had seen was also a deception, and that she was still under Miller's control. Meanwhile, the driver, being one of the last remaining, takes Court into the mill, preparing to kill him, but Court had already fainted. To save himself, he shoves the driver away and turns on his light and gets out of the mill. It is shown that Miller too had been caught in a sudden fire, and the driver was inside as well, meaning both must have died. But then it is shown that the driver still wasn't dead. The driver attacked Court again, and to save Court she went inside the rapidly burning mill and, without thinking, attacked the driver's neck and slit his throat. After that, she grabbed Court's hand and quickly got out of the mill, and finally they managed to save their lives. They both breathed a sigh of relief. It felt as if the terrible phase had finally ended. They survive and smile, but their happiness lasts only a moment because, all of a sudden, Miller emerges from the blazing fire, grabs Jennifer, kills her, and then takes her body back into the burning mill. After that, the entire mill collapses, and the scene cuts to the next morning. Everything here seems normal again. We see the driver alive once more. The same bus was parked in the city again, the one that had broken down in the water and was in terrible condition. This time too, he was looking for victims so that Miller could make them his prey. A man comes up to him. The driver lets him get on the bus, saying, "I always keep a seat for one sinner." The man doesn't understand what he means, so the driver brushes it off as a joke. And we realize that the entire cycle that happened is never going to stop and will keep going like this. With this strange ending, the movie ends here.